Sunrise, Pilot Truck Stop, Fairview, Tennessee, January 16th, 2025.
Hi, Dana.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, do I have time to go get a coffee?
Yeah, Dr. Spirko's late.
Surprise.
I told her I'd train her.
Yeah.
That's Jennifer Thompson. She's a seasoned criminal defense lawyer. We'd never met, as far as we know, but we came up in the same courtrooms and courthouses in the early 90s. She's the real deal. Jennifer represented Zach Adams during the 2017 trial that ended in his conviction for the kidnapping, rape, and murder of 20-year-old Holly Bobo of Hardin, Tennessee. The case gained national attention for years. Jennifer and I got acquainted while we waited for the third member of our party.
This biscuit isn't all that great.
Did you buy it here at the Flying J gas station?
I did.
It was probably made last night. And it was probably taken out of the freezer last night and put in the warming tray this morning.
Right.
Good morning, Dr. Spirko.
Good morning.
Hey, Katie.
Off we go.
Can I ask a quick question, just so I can be prepared for anything?
Uh-huh.
If I'm ever arrested, what is the process for that? Like, do I have to have your number memorized, or...
You get one call.
What if you don't answer?
You get one call. Call a bondsman.
I'm not going to call a bondsman.
Well, I'm not coming to get you. I can't.
I'll have someone else come and get me.
Okay, well, you need... All right,
do you know, I'm the kind of person... Do you know how many people have just volunteered that if I ever get arrested, they'll come bond me out? I don't know if I should be insulted or flattered.
That's Dr. Katie Spirko, forensic neuropsychologist. Whip smart, feisty, fearless. She got me into this. We head south on 641 through the little town of Parsons, population about 2,500. Parsons is ground zero for this case. Following the river further south almost to Alabama, we approach Savannah, Tennessee, where the trial of Zach Adams happened in September 2017. It took 9 days, and the world watched. Zach was convicted and sentenced to life plus 50 years. He has maintained his innocence throughout. Now, in 2025, he's trying to get a new trial. We are headed to one of the hearings in what is called a post-conviction relief petition. His lawyer is arguing, among other reasons, that Zach should get a new trial because his lawyer at the trial, the woman sitting next to me, was ineffective in defending him. And she's all for it. Whatever it takes to get justice here is fine by her. A lawyer's lawyer, fighting for her client, no matter what. I can tell as we get closer to Savannah that Jennifer's mood is changing. She hasn't been here in a long time.
There's the water. Isn't that the water processing plant?
The sun coming up over the river.
Dana and Jennifer seemed to be getting along well enough, talking shop and telling courtroom war stories as we made our way along the highway towards Savannah. The conversation soon transitioned to the case at hand, and I made sure to shoot Dana a "I told you so" look through the rearview mirror as Jennifer drew him in with her harrowing accounts of Zach's trial. See, Dana has a rule about me not inviting people in his car for road trips without prior approval. But rules are made to be broken, right? Besides, Jennifer and I had made this trip together before. I knew it brought up some heavy memories for her, and I wasn't about to let her go it alone.
I had a lot of sympathy for the Bobos and losing their daughter. I mean, that's one of the things that you don't even really let your mind think about, is what would it be like to have your child taken, disappear.
It's one of the most terrifying crimes you can imagine.
Sure.
Savannah must be viscerally linked for you to just this case.
Two bad things.
So what's it like as we're 11 miles out?
Just brings back terrible memories. I had terrible PTSD. I'm not kidding, from this trial.
Well, that's part of what I want to get into with you is ripple effect of the... Because as we sit here now, obviously you still believe that Zach Adams is not only not guilty, but had nothing to do with it.
Right.
Okay, so you have a client who was convicted by a jury after a long process, and we are investigating all of the flaws in that process. But you have a client that you're about to walk in and see, when was the last time you saw Zach? Last year?
That is, no, he wasn't there last year.
Okay, so when was the last time you saw Zach?
His motion for new trial, which was in the fall of 2020.
So it's been 4 or 5 years since you saw Zach.
Yes.
And so Savannah, I would imagine that there's feelings bubbling up for you as you approach Savannah and are about to walk into a courthouse and see your client that is serving a life sentence plus 50.
That's why when Katie asked me yesterday if I was going, I was like, well, are you going to go down there? I didn't want to drive myself down there. I did not want to be by myself and go into this county and walk into that courtroom by myself. Because I had done that so many other times.
Yeah, it's a long, lonely drive for a defense lawyer.
Yes.
You feel any better about it now or no? Is it worse?
No, I don't feel any better about it. I'm hopeful that one day the truth is going to come to light, but this case struck me down because I always had believed in the justice system deep down, that police, district attorneys, prosecutors, judges were trying to find the truth, that in all my other cases they at least wanted to know what the truth was. In my other cases...
You've been practicing about almost 20 years when you took this one to trial?
Yes.
Or 20 more, or 20 or a little more?
Yes.
And it crushed you because you suddenly were confronted with a scenario, and I speak from experience, where the system didn't even try to work right.
Didn't even try. People were cutting corners and doing really bad things. Law enforcement was doing really bad things. And I had no ability, as hard as I worked and as much pressure as I put into it, I had no ability to change the way things were. I had never had witness tampering like I had in this case. This is
Or obstruction and obfuscation.
Or giving me PTSD all over again.
You're like having a visceral reaction.
Yes. You know, I was the only one, and I would get off the stand and I would go in and call people. Well, before the trial started, I called some other attorneys that I thought were good trial attorneys, and I begged them. I cried on the phone, and I begged them to please, please take on this case with me and get in and help me. When you read Douglas Bates' petition and how he describes it, that everybody disparaged me and nobody took me seriously and everybody just kind of made fun of me, that is how it was. Everybody bullied me. They made fun of me. They acted like I did not know what I was doing, and I was the bad person that was bringing down.
Even defense lawyers for your client and the others.
Yes.
Which, I mean,
they were gaslighting.
Same team, right? Like,
same team.
You're gaslighting about the law, saying things were illegal that weren't, and it was...
Yes.
Does this bring back memories?
Dana, this was the most horrible time in my career. It was absolutely the very worst time of my life.
It's a lot of courage to come down here when you didn't have to.
Yes. And it took every bit of ounce and steel in me to not plead my client out and to stick in it and say, no, he's not taking that.
And you made that promise to yourself at the beginning of your career.
Yes. I used to get up every morning and go in and put makeup on Zach's face before trial. And I used to take him his clothes. I used to pick out his clothes. I ironed his shirts for him because sometimes the cleaners couldn't get them back in time.
He wore your husband's suits, didn't he?
He wore my husband's suits. I would get in there. I would wash and dry.
We're going
Next light, maybe, or can you not turn that way?
People don't understand what we do. The state has witnesses with uniforms, badges, guns, degrees, certificates, expertise, virtually unlimited budget, victims that they've been able to, prepare.
They also get the assumption that they're doing the right thing.
They call themselves the state of Tennessee, the people of Tennessee, and then there's us ironing shirts at midnight that don't belong to our clients so they can look like a decent human being.
Yes.
At the courtroom.
Yes.
Where's the best place to park? The courthouse in Savannah is a large red brick building. Upon entering the building, one immediately notices a colorful tile motif on the floor depicting the geography of the region, centered in a black and white checkerboard of tiles. A wide spiral staircase rises to the second floor and to the circuit courtroom. I recognize the courtroom from the video of the trial. It's church-like, lots of rows of pews facing a raised bench for the judge. Zach's lawyer, Douglas Bates IV, is there, making last-minute preparations for his argument. At 8:30 sharp, court is called to order and Judge J. Brent Bradbury takes the bench. He announces that Zach is on the way, that there was a mix-up in the time he was to be brought to court. Zach's grandfather, 92-year-old Dick Adams, is in the courtroom waiting for Zach to arrive. He hasn't seen his grandson in 10 years. Zach's mother, Cindy, sits with him. I'd met Cindy on my first trip on this case. She's a retired schoolteacher living on hope that her sons one day will be cleared of this murder. You see, Cindy's other son, Zach's little brother Dylan, entered what's called an Alford plea after Zach's trial and was sentenced to 35 years in prison. When a defendant enters an Alford plea, they're essentially telling the court, I'm innocent, but I acknowledge the evidence could convict me. It's a strategic move we don't need to dwell on right now. I've been in court for moments like this many times, moments when mothers have to watch their sons shuffle forward in shackles, trying to steal a glance at a friendly face, looking for their mother. There's nothing like the sobs of a mother when her son is taken away, except, of course, the sound of a mother grieving the death of her child. We hear Zach making his way in from the back of the room. All eyes on him as he comes forward, flanked by 2 armed guards. His denim prison coat hung on his shoulders, his hands chained at his waist. His lawyers greet him, and he smiles. He notices Jennifer, too, and he beams at her. He knows who believed in him when no one else did. Dick is visibly shaken. Zach has aged so much in the years he's been in prison. Court comes to order and the lawyers get down to business. It's a legal argument today, no witnesses, no testimony. Just the lawyers arguing fine points of law on topics like writs of error, coram nobis, and waiver, and other things that only a handful of people in the room understand. But everyone understands what's at stake. Judge Bradbury is on his game. He's prepared. He's patient. He prods the lawyers for direct answers to questions you could tell they'd rather he didn't ask. Both sides have to make concessions now, tactically retreating from the positions they'd staked out on paper weeks before. The state wants the judge to throw the case out, arguing it's too little, too late. Bates puts up a valiant fight, passionate. He's good. The state gets the last word, offered by General Boiano. He's in his lane. This is what he does. And then it happens. You can spend a lifetime in courtrooms and never see anything like this. Central to Zach's request for a new trial is a piece of evidence that his team has been looking for over a decade. Zach's alibi included a trip to an ATM machine at the time he was alleged to have been kidnapping and killing Holly Bobo. If the ATM captured his visit on camera, the state's case takes a huge hit. The state's star witness, Jason Autry, the co-defendant who flipped, testified that Zach was with him trying to dispose of Holly's body at the same time Zach says he was at that ATM. It's pretty close to proof of actual innocence. Now, I don't want to get too deep into the details here, but this ATM camera evidence has been a bone of contention for a long time in this case. When Dr. Spirko started looking into this case, no one seemed to have anything from that ATM camera. But Dr. Spirko found that ATM in a warehouse where it had been sitting for years. When Zach's lawyers told the prosecutors they found the ATM and were planning to issue a subpoena for it so they could test it and see if they could find that evidence, the TBI issued what's called an administrative subpoena and picked it up before Zach's lawyers could. Judge Bradbury seemed to me visibly displeased that the state used this method to get it, directly demanding an answer from the state's lawyers whether this subpoena had been issued out of his court. They conceded that, in fact, no, the subpoena was not issued from his court, and that's why no one had seen it except them. I don't think Judge Bradbury was too pleased by this, and to me it felt a little shady, if I'm being honest. The rules are designed to make it fair, and if one side is running around doing things like this without even the judge knowing, well, that just doesn't seem fair to me. But I digress. Now, this is where things happen fast in the courtroom, and I can offer at this point only what I know to be true, and I'll try to carefully separate that from what may prove to be true later. The state's position on this ATM machine and the evidence that may be in it seems to be that if there was any such evidence, they gave it to Zach's lawyers before his trial, as they would be required to do. But they also seem to be arguing that TBI experts have subsequently tried and failed to recover the evidence in recent months. Perhaps I misunderstood, but it does seem it can't be both. While Boiano is arguing that Zach's team had all of the evidence before trial and that the ATM machine cannot now produce any evidence despite the best efforts of TBI experts, Zach starts tugging at his lawyer's coat. He points to the computer in front of Boiano and whispers, "That's my truck. That's me at the ATM." It's a stunning development, to say the least. A decade of searching for this, the proof of his truth, and it's right there. But this isn't television. This is real court. So Bates can't just grab the computer and show it to the judge. He's going to have to make an official request for what he too thinks he saw. And the state will have to admit or deny that Zach saw what he says he saw. If he was right, this is going to get real interesting real fast, because I don't see any explanations for this photo that don't lead to a compelling argument for a new trial. It's either ineffective assistance of counsel, prosecutorial misconduct, or both. It also may be proof of actual innocence. During this hearing, Zach's trial lawyer, Jennifer Thompson, can't stand it anymore. She has to leave. She doesn't know about what Zach saw until we tell her later. I'll let you hear the shift in her mood when hope for Zach, long dormant, starts to flicker to life again.
Okay, so we're back in the car, and during lunch, the thing we were talking about on the way in, it's confirmed. The state revealed today that there is, in fact, an image and maybe a video that puts Zach and Dylan and Shane, right?
Yeah.
All three in a vehicle at a bank at a time at 11 o'clock or 11:10 in the morning on April 13th, 2011, at a time that the state's entire case does not seem to permit possible. In other words, it's an alibi.
Dr. Spirko and Jennifer decide to call Rita and Jimmy Austin. Rita and Jimmy are the parents of Shane Austin, the young man who died by suicide after he was named as a suspect in this case. They followed the case throughout, maintaining their son's innocence, and they were in court today when all of that happened. They were so happy to hear that there might be a break that would not only clear Zach, but that would help clear their son's name as well.
Hey, there's something I need to do right now.
Use the potty?
No, I need to call Jimmy and Rita Austin.
Yes.
We never would have gotten this without them. They are the ones who put me on this track with the recorder and found the bank manager, and you have to tell them. This is your thing to tell. They're gonna, oh my gosh, I'm so excited.
They were there, but they don't know this.
They don't know this.
Hey, Rita, it's Jennifer Thompson. So, Rita, there is a picture with a timestamp of 11:10 a.m. of Zach and Shane and Dylan in Dylan's truck, backed into the ATM slot at 11:10 a.m. where they were getting cash out of the bank. And it completely disproves Jason Autry's story.
Oh, that's wonderful news. Wow.
Rita, it's the piece we've been looking for this whole time. I was wanting to tell you about this and tell you about the good news, and I think it's going to change the case.
Thank you so much for not quitting on me, girl. Thank you. Well, this takes a lot of prayer and a lot of belief. Keep on fighting, girls. Thank you.
You guys take care. We'll keep you in the loop.
Thanks. Thank you so y'all for everything.
So, talk more about the feelings that are running through you now, because we're like 2 hours removed from the first time you've seen Zach in years, the first time you've been in that courthouse in a year, and sounds to me like the first glimmer of hope that you felt in this case since the conviction 7 years ago.
Yes. So, I guess everybody else thought I was so crazy. They made fun of me. They bullied me. They mocked me. Just little small comments that were just horrible. And it was awful. And now, suddenly, we have this piece of evidence that shows what Jason Autry was saying was wrong, which I knew. I was the one that had been through all the facts. I had really studied the information. I was the one that had been through all the facts.
In spite of the fact that it was given to you in a unhelpful format.
I have talked to everyone involved in this case. You know the case hands down better than anyone else. Any of the investigators. I mean, you know this case inside and out.
So the relief is, my God, finally there is proof that I'm not a hysterical woman that's either fallen in love with the defendant and trying to get him released, or has bought some goofy story that somebody's telling me and I'm all gullible.
Or that you're swinging for the fences trying to make a career out of a needle in a haystack.
There is finally evidence that what I was saying is true, that Zach Adams has an alibi for that morning, that Jason Autry was making up his story.
The ride home is different than the ride down here. Jennifer lets herself think maybe, just maybe, this will happen. We decide to drop by and tell Zach's grandfather what happened, or more importantly, what it may mean. His house is on 641, almost all the way back to the interstate.
We turn up the long gravel driveway, and Dick Adams greets us warmly. I'm sure he's exhausted after the hearing today, but he doesn't let it show. We make ourselves comfortable on the couch as Dick looks expectantly, our faces giving away the good news Jennifer is about to share with him.
Well, turns out today, the state has a photograph of Dylan's truck at the ATM with Shane, Zach, and Dylan all in the truck at 11:10 a.m. in Parsons that morning.
Well, see, I met him right down here that morning, and I had a log, where I was at all the time. And I don't know if I kept it.
Now we have proof that you were telling the truth all along.
Well, I know I met him. Because Billy, he don't remember. I mean, I didn't say anything.
So here's the thing about Dick. His mind is as sharp as it ever was, but his hearing is shot. He must not have believed his ears, so I looked for a piece of scratch paper to jot down the good news as he launched into the details of that morning, reiterating what he desperately conveyed to police over a decade prior about his grandson's whereabouts at the time of Holly's abduction.
Jack was driving, and Dylan was saying it was an extended cab, and he was in the back, and Shane was in the passenger seat.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. Adams, I think what they're trying to tell you is something really big and something really good happened today that had not previously happened.
It can lead to Zach's release.
And Dylan. Both of them.
Getting released.
The video that the state finally admitted they have corroborates the alibi that cannot be squared with Autry's
Jason Autry's
statement.
Testimony. It makes it clear that Jason Autry was lying. Because he said he was with the boys that time. He was with Zach that time down by the river. He couldn't have been down by the river with Holly's body if the truck was in the ATM in Parsons that morning.
The lady that prosecuted Zachary, when I testified, my truck, the one they said he used, my truck was in a shop up back park.
Dick Adams built this house in 1966. Later, he built a house close by for his son and his daughter-in-law, Cindy, Zach's parents. For many years, Zach and Dylan lived in this second house on the property. Dr. Spirko asks him if he can show us Zach's house, and he obliges. This is a step back in time. Acting on information that turned out to be false, the TBI searched this house. They'd been told that Holly Bobo had been brutally assaulted there, leaving pools of blood on the floor. When the TBI team came, they cut a huge piece of floor out of the living room and cut apart couches and mattresses. They searched drawers and cabinets. The place is trashed.
This is how TBI left the house after they searched?
Huh?
This is how they left it?
Yes.
Yeah,
See,
this is
pulled
it.
up the carpet in here. See, there was.
They even took the carpet up.
It was clean, right? Didn't Zach keep it clean?
It was pretty neat and clean. Zach was not filthy.
Yeah, Zach's a neat
It
person.
didn't look like this.
No, they
It was
trashed
It
it.
was clean and neat.
That was his bed right there.
They trashed it.
And then rats got in here.
But the furniture and the floor and everything was, they did this.
Mm-hmm. I mean, he was living here. And
They took the drawers out of the dressers, all this stuff.
Wow.
it looked like a bunch of kids that they was training. And they come out here, and the last time they come to me and said, "You want to open the door, or you want me to kick it down?" I said, "I'll open the door." I said, but all y'all can do now is take a chainsaw to it. Well, they did. They took a chainsaw and cut the floor out.
I'm really sorry what's happened here.
Yeah, I just hope something comes out of it.
And they've been locked up for...
10 years.
And the first time you saw Zach in 10 years was today. How did he look to you?
It's been all rough on him.
You think he can see it?
Real rough. Exactly bad. He used to have the first teeth that I ain't you ever seen.
I hope we're able to get him out.
But, I mean, you know, Zach, he had trouble with the law. He gave him a lot of trouble, and that was a good way out for him. Them, I think. Yeah, he took a lot of vehicles, lost a lot, wrecked a lot.
He'd stolen about everybody's deer stand and wildlife camera. I mean, Zach had gone through, stopped by people's garages and just picked up, he just petty theft. He was a drug user, and he'd pick up this thing here and there and just irritated a lot of people, but nothing serious.
Dick used to be a troublemaker too, and you turned out all right.
Well, I learned better, early. And of course, Zach, he had a mouth. I mean, Zach get mad and he'd get mad at me while I'd have to straighten him out. And but I heard him.
I'm gonna take a picture of you for Zach because he's gonna want it.
Dick has always believed that his grandsons Zach and Dylan, boys he'd known all their lives, are innocent.
Just this kind of stuff that just breaks my heart. It's like the cruelty of people thinking they're doing the right thing.
Indifference.
Yeah.
I can't believe that just happened. Everything that just happened in the last
24 hours, 12 hours, 6
7
hours, 4
7
hours.
yeah.
4.
I think we all just need to keep manifesting positivity.
Right now, the best I can manage is incredulity.
Spoken like a true defense attorney.
At some point, did you go to Kelly's Ridge?
I come through there one day and I noticed some birds sitting near a pond bank.
I mean, like sparrows?
Buzzards.
Buzzards. So what does that mean to you?
Dead. Something dead.